from a bona fide spiritual master. And you know the next recommendation after that? Anybody?
What was the question, Prabhuji? Sorry.
We're talking about Upadeshamrita, Sloka 5. There's recommendations about interacting with different kinds of devotees.
So that's the Atyahara Prayasascha Prajalpanya.
After that. Yeah, number 5. I think it's maybe I'm wrong, maybe 6. Let me check.
You mean dadati pratigrihnati?
No. Number 5 is here. Number 5 is one should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation and is engaged in worshiping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviating devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So that's a very interesting citing of Rupa Goswami and translated by Srila Prabhupada, that the quality of a person who's advanced in Krishna consciousness is devoid of that propensity to criticize others. Now, somebody may say, well, wait a minute, the spiritual master, they're instructing their disciples, and sometimes the disciple, the instruction towards the disciple or the student seems like criticism, isn't it? Would you say? What would you say is the difference then? Or is there a difference? Are we getting things all mixed together here? You follow the question? So here,
when it comes from the spiritual master, it is different.
In what way different?
Because he's helping us progress in a very important area.
Yeah, he or she, yeah. So good point. Yes. So the motivation of an elevated devotee or pure devotee, spiritual master, is not with the intent to criticize or to bring down, but to elevate, to benefit. So completely different motivation is there. In spite of that, sometimes Srila Prabhupada would say, he would say, I'm getting critical in my old age. But then devotees would routinely and enthusiastically respond, no, Srila Prabhupada, unless you criticize me, how will I make progress? And that's the fact. The longer one stays in Krishna consciousness, the tendency is now thinking, now I've been in Krishna consciousness X number of years, there's nobody to criticize me or to correct me. So that criticism for us, we can take as mercy, and the spiritual masters, that's his or her function. It's something like I used to have to train students in evaluating patients who came for psychotherapy. And so, the initial session is usually you have to ask all kinds of questions to elicit, what is going on with this person and what help are they needing. So it was often the case that new students would be very reluctant to ask questions that would come to mind about a person, the person they're interviewing or they're evaluating's background, even though those questions were very pertinent to understanding the situation.
And discussing with them, it came clear to me that because the reason they were hesitant because they had they were thinking this was some kind of personal motivation. They wanted to, gossip about the person or find out some material detail about the person's life. For as we usually do in our life, we find out some detail about a person's life, and then we can gossip about it to others. But the purpose of the information is get what's necessary for the help, the benefit of the person. Of course, this is a material example, but with that in mind, then it's much easier to relate proper questions. So, and that's a material example, but similarly, a pure devotee or spiritual master sometimes may appear to be criticizing, but that criticizing comes from a completely different platform than what we're talking about in the first offense. Does that make sense? A little bit? Okay. And then what's the second offense? Everybody's jumping forward. Oh, we want to stay on the first offense. Okay.
No, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu.
Yes. Who's that? Mother Shama? Who was that?
Yes, Prabhu.
Mother Shamaguri, yes. So to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. I think I've mentioned it before on this call that sometimes people will say, oh, Krishna, Shiva, Durga, all the names are the same. Take anyone, take any Param Shakti. So that might be popular in society, but that's the kind of thinking that got Narad Muni cursed to come to the Earth planet. He was a Gandharva in his previous life, and the demigods were holding a Hari Kirtan festival, and he decided, well, for adoration, he would start chanting names of demigods, and so then that became an offense. So bad result came. Lord Krishna manifested or enacted the Govardhan Leela because he didn't want his devotees to take time to worship other demigods in the course of worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Nanda Maharaj, when first questioned by Lord Krishna, said, well, here's what we'll do. We'll have a separate sacrifice for Govardhan Hill, and we'll also do the Indra Yagya. We'll do both of them. We'll keep all of these deities on the altar. But Krishna said, no time. There's only limited time, a little limited supplies. Just do this Govardhan Hill sacrifice. And then he manifested himself as Govardhan Hill personified. So this usually is a mistake made when a person has an impersonal view of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the Supreme, not personality. So they equate Krishna, Brahma, Shiva, Durga, Surya, Ganapati, all as just embodiments, temporary forms of the impersonal Brahman. Okay. Third offense.
To disobey the spiritual master.
The orders of the spiritual master, yes. Fourth. Come on. What is the fourth offense? Or you could
To
have different
blaspheme the Vedic
Blaspheme the
literature.
Vedic scripture.
blaspheme Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of Vedic version. 5.
To
To
consider
consider
chanting.
chanting.
Okay, go ahead.
To be an imagination.
What's that?
To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna to be an imagination.
Yeah, imaginations. Consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination, exaggeration. Yeah, go ahead. Next.
To give some interpretations to the holy names of the Lord.
Okay, good. Give some interpretation. When I first got the Maha Mantra card, the mantra card, I got it from a devotee in Illinois. So the mantra printed on the card was Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So there was a misprint on the mantra card, Krishna. So in my ignorance, I was speculating about why the third, couplet, Krishna, was Krishna. So I was giving all kinds of interpretations and still chanting, but even though it was offensive, I was thinking, well, the earth is the third planet from the sun, so that third couplet there must relate earth and like that. But Lord Krishna was pleased, it was kind anyway, and I came to Krishna consciousness. So giving some interpretation. 6.
To commit offenses on the strength of
Not sinful activities.
That was the 6th.
Yeah. What's that?
That was the 6th, to give some interpretation to the holy
Okay,
names.
7th then. Yeah, commit sinful activities. Yes.
Yeah, commit sinful.
Yes. 8.
To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna to be one of the specious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Veda, the protective activity Kam Karna.
Yes. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Trigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtrigunya Bhavarjuna. The Vedas mostly they're dealing with the 3 modes of material nature and how to elevate oneself from one can go to higher planets, one can enjoy godly delights in the higher planets for some time, but Krishna consciousness and chanting the holy names, that's not what it's about. Even Srila Prabhupada talked about when he was a young boy of maybe 3, the plague had hit Calcutta, and there was one sadhu who organized Sankirtan all around Calcutta. And he remembers as a little boy jumping up during the Sankirtan, up to people's knees as a young boy. And so he says that everybody knows, at least the history in Calcutta, that because of the Sankirtan, the plague dissipated. But then he said, of course, that is not the proper way to chant, because that's using the holy name in our service. One should be, as this purport is saying, we should learn to serve the holy name. So that was not recommended that be done. So, but chanting the holy name for the pleasure of Krishna, the pleasure of the spiritual master, the pleasure of Srimati Radharani, that's our focus. Yeah, not for some material gain or what's described in the Vedas like fruitive activities. 9, to instruct the faithless person in the holy about the glories of the holy name. One might start discussing the difference between the soul and the body and these things. And 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain our material attachments, even understanding these instructions. So many instructions. Okay.
So, Bahu Janma Kariyadi Shravana Kirtana Tabutana Paya Krishna Pade Premadhan. Comments, questions, in additions.
So Prabhu, when we Sunday feast, when for the sponsors we chant one round or two, not one round, 1 month Mahamantra, then is that also not right? Is that an offense?
Why would it be an offense?
Because we are chanting for some benefit.
What is the benefit?
I mean, if they're sponsoring it for their birthday or so for their welfare.
Yeah. So when we do that, when we chant the names, we should our motive is to chant to please Krishna. That's our motive, and they can also get benefit from that. But our motive is to chant to please Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, when they when they were renouncing their position with Nawab Hussain Shah, they did all kinds of ceremonies to benefit their spiritual life. But the benefit comes because they were doing it to please Krishna and Lord Caitanya, and then automatically the other things might come as arranged by Krishna. Anybody else like to say something?
Yes, Prabhuji. Like you said, the plague, the Harinam Sankirtan was not appropriate, but like now Corona is going, like somebody doesn't have Corona, but it chants, for welfare of the all humanity. What is wrong with that?
Well, the welfare,
it's not a personal gain.
Yes, I'm not saying that one shouldn't chant, no, but what will result in the welfare of humanity is if Krishna is satisfied. So the example is if you give or you water the root of a tree, all the parts of the tree are taken care of. So if the focus is primarily on satisfying Krishna, and by satisfying Krishna, then everybody else will work.
Yeah, if he please the Krishna with the chanting or with Harinam, and then if he is happy with everybody, then he can take out the Corona.
He can, if he likes to, yeah.
If he wants to, yeah. So that will not be inappropriate.
And if he doesn't do that, then I'm not going to get mad.
Nobody can get mad on Krishna anyway.
Well, it's up to how Krishna wants to do things. Yeah. So we however Krishna wants to do things, we will continue to try to please him and please the spiritual master. And it's not that we forget or are callous to the sufferings of others. I agree with you. That's correct. Yes. But we know that ultimately, the thing that's going to keep people out of all suffering is to bring them to the platform of pure devotional service. And it's not that we become callous. It's not that we don't encourage people to take precautions against transmission of the disease and all that kind of thing. I agree with you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for that pointing it out. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Archana Bhakti, Mother.
Yeah. First of all, please accept my obeisances. It's nice to see you back, and I hope you're doing well, Prabhuji. I heard you were not doing well. Again, in the same lines that Kaivalya Prabhu and Shobha Radhe Mataji said, we see in the devotee community, in many groups I have seen, my father is sick, So everyone says we will chant one round for your father. So when they're chanting that extra round, they're actually thinking this round is, I'm chanting this one round so that that particular person will recover from his illness. That is an offense to the holy name, isn't it, Prabhuji?
If that is their mentality, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
yeah.
just like when when Prabhupada was ill, sometimes Prabhupada would encourage 24-hour chanting, and then there was a prayer that he gave. His prayer was, "Oh Lord Krishna, if it is your desire, please cure Srila Prabhupada." Why? So he can engage in devotional service.
Yes. So that is, you're actually offering a prayer to Krishna. But saying that I'm chanting one round for this person, I don't know, it sounds a little, like setting a condition or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. I just wanted to confirm that point.
It's a fine line there.
Mm.
Other comments? Okay. Shall we go to the next verse?
Let's ask.
Krishna Prabhuji, in
Yes.
Chaitanya Charitam, I think in the Antalila, somewhere Mahaprabhu criticized, I don't remember the devotee name. Can you please highlight on that Ramchandra Puri or someone, Ramanand Rai, I believe.
No, Ramchandra Puri, yeah.
So just wanted to revise again, Prabhuji, if you can highlight. For what he criticized, and when he criticized, he felt like, oh, yeah, it was good for me, something like that. So yeah.
Good point. Yeah. So Ramchandra Puri was a a disciple of Ishwar Puri, so he was a god brother of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he even criticized his spiritual master Ishwar Puri just prior to his departure. So Ramchandra Puri made the habit of he would feed the Vaishnavas and including Lord Chaitanya sumptuously, and then afterwards criticize them if they were eating too much. And then when he visited Lord Chaitanya, he saw, oh, there's ants crawling. He must be having eating lots of sweets, because ants tend to come where there's lots of sugar. Does that happen? Yeah. So those two things, he was, do that, encouraging people to take more prasadam and then criticizing him. So Lord Chaitanya, he took it as, oh yeah, the sannyasi should be very, very careful about their eating. They shouldn't eat luxuriously and stuff like that. But even though Lord Chaitanya didn't take it as an offense, it was an offense. And Ramchandra Puri fell down from his position. Same thing with Gopal Chapala. He was envious or disturbed with Srivas Thakur. He wasn't be led into the nocturnal kirtans there in Navadvip. So being envious of Srivas Thakur's position, and he put paraphernalia of worship of Durga outside his house one evening. And so in the morning when people walked by, they said, oh, look, Srivas Thakur is worshiping goddess Durga. So apparently, at least at that time in Navadvip, worship of goddess Durga was not considered top class, high class. Anyway, when Srivas Thakur came out of his house, he noticed that, and there were some gentlemen coming by. He said, oh, look, just see, I'm worshiping Goddess Durga, don't you see? he took it as nothing, insignificant. But still, Gopal Chapala got leprosy, I think it was, wasn't it? Because of the offense, even though he didn't take it seriously. So amanina, not taking. So usually it's the other way around. We ourselves are very quick to say, "Oh, you offended me," and we don't want to give respect to others. But Lord Caitanya in his Shikshastika turns that around. Don't take offense. Don't take offense, and give ready to give respect to others freely. That's my memory of Ramchandra Puri. Does anyone else?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It helps. Yeah.
Even Mother Shachi, when Lord Chaitanya was in Navadvip early in his distribution of Krishna Prema, he was distributing love of God to anybody who would come. So the devotee said, "We'll bring Mother Shachi there. She should have love of God." And you know what he said? No, she can't. She's an offender. She's an offender. She will not get love of God because. And why is that? Why is that? She made a comment that Lord Chaitanya had an older brother. You know, what was his name? Vishwarup.
Yes.
So Vishwarup used to go to the house of Advaitacharya. The Advaitacharya had more than one house. He had one residence in Shantipur, and one of his residences was nearby the house of Jagannath Mishra and Mother Sachi. So Vishwarup used to attend the Srimad Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita discussions in Advaitacharya's house, and then at one point he took sannyas. He left. He renounced his family and left. So Mother Shachi made a comment, a little bit slightly critical comment about Advaitacharya. And Lord Chaitanya knew that. Advaitacharya didn't take it as an offense, but Lord Chaitanya noted that. And until Mother Shachi touched the feet of Advaitacharya, even though he didn't take it as an offense, he wouldn't give her love of God. Very interesting.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Jnanata Sulabha Muktir Bhukti Yagyadi Punyata Sayam Sadhana Sahasrayar Hari Bhakti Sudulabha. By cultivating philosophical knowledge, one can understand his spiritual position and can thus be liberated. And by performing sacrifices and pious activities, one can achieve sense gratification in a higher planetary system, like we were talking. But the devotional service of the Lord is so rare that even by executing hundreds and thousands of such sacrifices, one cannot attain it. Purport. Prahlad Maharaj instructs, Matir na Krishne paratasvato va mito bipadyeta grahavratanam. 7 Bhagavatam 7.530. Naisham matistavarukramangreen sprishatyanarto pagamo yadarta mahiya sampadarajo bishakam nishkinchananam navrinita yavat. These slokas are to be discussed. Their purport is.
Why is your? Oh, okay. I saw it. Yeah, red, green, white.
Red, green, white. I don't know.
Red and white. No.
Somebody's okay, thanks. Their purport is that one cannot obtain Krishna Bhakti or the devotional service of the Lord by official execution of the Vedic rituals. One has to approach a pure devotee. Narottam Das Thakur sings, Chadiya Vaishnav Seva Nishtar Paye Keva, who has been elevated without rendering service to a pure Vaishnava. It is the statement of Prahlad Maharaj that unless one is able to accept the dust from the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava, there is no possibility of achieving the platform of devotional service. That is the secret. The above mentioned Tantra Vachan, quoted from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is our perfect guidance in this connection. Very nice, wonderful purports there. Okay. Any comments or questions here? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious filled day. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Bancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyescha Titanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.
Thank you, Vishnugada Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank
Hare
you, sir.
Krishna, thank you. Have a great day, everyone.